Hey there, have you ever shared a pizza with your friends or maybe checked the time and said it's half past the hour? Well, if you have, you've actually been using fractions, maybe without even knowing it. Today, we're going to dive into the world of fractions. And don't you worry if they sound a little tricky. We're going to break it all down together.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll cover what a fraction even is. Then, we'll get to know the whole fraction family. After that, we'll learn some really cool tricks for comparing and changing them. And finally, we'll see how to use them in the real world. You ready? Let's do this. Okay, first things first, what exactly is a fraction? It sounds like some big, complicated math word, but you know what? It's really just about a super simple idea, taking something whole and splitting it up into equal parts. I want you to picture a delicious, cheesy pizza, fresh from the oven. Right now, it's one whole pizza. But the second you slice it up and grab a piece, that single slice is now a fraction of the whole pie. See? It's really as simple as that. Now, when we write a fraction, it always has two key parts. There's a number on top, which we call the numerator, and a number on the bottom, called the denominator. Let's find out what these two guys are telling us. Let's go back to our pizza. The denominator, that's the bottom number, tells you how many equal slices the entire pizza was cut into. So in this case, 8. Easy enough. The numerator, the number on top, tells you how many of those slices you actually have. So 1/8 literally means you've got one slice from a pizza that has 8 total slices.
Awesome. We've totally got the basics down. So now it's time to meet the fraction family. And, just like any family, there are a few different types, and each one has its own little personality. First up, we've got proper fractions. These are the ones you probably see the most. The top number is smaller than the bottom, which just means it's less than one whole thing, like having 3 out of 4 slices. Then, you've got improper fractions. This is where the top number is bigger than the bottom. And you might be thinking, how is that even possible? Well, think of it this way. If you have 5 slices, but the pizza was only cut into 4, it means you have more than one whole pizza.
And that leads us perfectly to mixed fractions, which you might also hear called mixed numbers. This is just another way to show you've got more than one whole. It's got a big whole number sitting right next to a proper fraction. So instead of saying you have 5/4 of a pizza, you could just say you have one whole pizza and 1/4 of another. Same amount, just a different way of writing it. Okay, so we've met the whole family. Now it's time to learn how to work with them. In this section, we're going to get into 2 really important skills: changing fractions from one type to another, and figuring out which of 2 fractions is the bigger one. So, how do we turn a big improper fraction like 13/5 into a nice mixed number? It's actually just a division problem. You ask yourself, how many times does 5 go into 13? Well, it goes in 2 whole times, right? So 2 is our big whole number. But wait, 2 times 5 is 10, so we have 3 left over. That leftover 3 becomes our new numerator. The bottom number, the denominator, just stays the same. So 13/5 is exactly the same as 2 3/5. And going the other way is just as easy. Let's try it with 2 3/4. First, you multiply the big whole number by the denominator. So 2 times 4 gives you 8. Then you just add the numerator you already had. So 8 plus 3 equals 11. That's it. 11 is our new numerator. The denominator doesn't change, so we get 11/4. Okay, that's cool. We can convert between different fractions. But what about comparing them? I mean, if you look at 2/3 and 3/4, how can you know for sure which one is bigger? It's not always obvious, but don't worry, there's a fantastic little trick for this. This amazing trick is called the cross multiplication method. Seriously, it's like a secret weapon for comparing fractions super fast, without all the headache of finding common denominators. Let me show you how it works. So here's what you do. You multiply in a crisscross pattern. First, you take the bottom number of the second fraction and multiply it by the top number of the first. So 4 times 2 gives us 8. Let's put that 8 on the left side. Now we do the other diagonal. 3 times 3 gives us 9. We'll put that 9 on the right. Now all you have to do is compare those two numbers. Is 8 bigger or is 9 bigger? Well, 9 is bigger, of course, so that means the fraction on the right side, 3/4, is the bigger fraction. All right, it's time for the main event. Let's put these fractions to work. Now that we know all the players and how to compare them, we're going to see how to actually do math with them. Adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. And you know what? Each one has its own simple little rule. You're going to love this. Adding and subtracting is a piece of cake when the denominators are the same. All you do is add or subtract the top numbers, the numerators.
and you just leave the denominator alone. So 2/9 plus 5/9 is, you got it, 7/9. That's it.
Believe it or not, multiplying is even easier. You literally just multiply straight across. You multiply the two top numbers together to get your new top number, and you multiply the two bottom numbers together to get your new bottom number. Done.
Okay, division looks like the trickiest one, but I'm going to let you in on a secret. Just remember these 3 words: keep, change, flip. First, you keep the first fraction exactly as it is. Then, you change the division sign to a multiplication sign. And finally, you flip the second fraction upside down. And just like that, you've turned a tricky division problem into a super easy multiplication problem that you already know how to solve. All right, let's see how all this stuff works in a real-life situation. Word problems can look a little scary sometimes, but they're really just little puzzles waiting to be solved. Let's figure this one out together.
We're going to solve this in 2 simple steps. First, we need to figure out how many parking spots are actually full. The problem says 3/4 of 84 are full. That little word "of" is a secret code in math that tells us to multiply. So we just need to find 3/4 of 84, which gives us 63. So 63 cars are parked. Now for step 2, we just need to find the empty spots. If there are 84 spots total and 63 are full, we just subtract. 84 minus 63 gives us our answer.
And there it is, 21. There's room for 21 more cars in the lot. See? You just used fractions to solve a totally normal, everyday problem. You're a pro!
So, what's the most important thing to take away from all this? It's that fractions are not something to be scared of. Not at all. They're just a super useful way to talk about parts of things. And once you get the hang of the rules, you'll be able to solve pretty much anything that comes your way. So, before we wrap up, I've got a little challenge for you. As you go about the rest of your day, I want you to be a fraction detective. Look for them everywhere, in a recipe, on a measuring cup, or even in the way a candy bar is divided. You'll be surprised how often they pop up. Thanks for hanging out with me today.